Good day, Mr. Kehinde Olusesan. Welcome to the class. Last week, when we had our MI class, we stopped at information system security. Okay, we stopped at internet usage policy. If I can remember clearly, we talked about the use of securities like password. We also talked about hacking, virus, and how we can protect our system from virus. So all these are some of the things we discussed last time. So we, we stopped at internet policy. So today we'll be taking a look at internet policy, internet and email user policy. Now, all these things we are learning here goes beyond classroom. It also goes to the business world and personal life where we want to apply them. Internet is particularly a risky area for both firms and individuals. And so we see that companies, organizations, even persons should apply security measures such as the use of firewalls, which we discussed last time, encryption, and virus protection. So all these are things that we use to protect ourselves from internet. It's just like having a burglary proof in your house, putting doors and windows, putting iron door, mosquito net, everything in your house just to ward off certain things entering. Now, when it comes to internet usage, businesses require that their staff comply to their internet and email usage policy. So there should be a policy guiding everyone in the use of internet. For example, the policy should contain that there should be a limit to the use of the internet for business purpose. So, you know, some people will just go to office on their computer. The next thing they are doing is YouTube. So, because their company is subscribing to unlimited download or unlimited subscription, paying so much, and so they just come and the funny thing is their system will be on maybe perhaps office work, but their phones will just be downloading YouTube and all that. That may be an abuse if done too much. It might be an abuse of the internet for business purpose. Now there is going to be a notification of the ability to track internet user. So that means that every system connecting to the internet, their what is called IP address, which is called Internet Protocol address, should be able to identify which user is this and how much usage is this person having. So, you know, there are some people who can just go to the back end to see which system is using more data, especially if there is a heavy traffic of uh, of internet. They can even go and check which computer is causing that traffic. Maybe the person is downloading and what the person is doing. So there should be an ability to trace or to track internet usage. If you go to your phones, like my own phone, I can see how much data I have used for this month. I can see how much I used last month, and I can see how much I've used for this year in question. Now, prohibiting access to sites that are offensive to gender, to sexuality, religion, nationality, or politics. So you should not be going to offensive sites. So people like going to, those sites where they go to get some kind of pleasure that seems to be offensive to gender, to religion. And some people go to sites where they talk against the government or against politics. Some people also use general sites, like I've seen Twitter. Some people use Twitter to talk against the government. Ensuring that downloads only occur from a safe and reputable website. A reputable website will have a sign marking it good. They will tell you that, do you trust? Sometimes you will see security information asking you, do you trust this website? You have to trust it. Sometimes you may need to put an exception to a particular website so that the firewalls will not keep throwing it off when it brings it. Because when you put a firewall and the firewall do not trust this site, it throws it off. So you may need to put an exception to it. Okay, prohibiting downloading executable program files. Executable program files are files that has extension name .exe. These are files that you install. Anything you install is an executable file. So exe, that's the extension. So when you download, somebody sent you something that is an executable file, you try to download it, the system looks at it as if it's a virus. You may be downloading an antivirus, but the system will be looking at it as a virus. Now, another thing again is downloading pirated music, movies, or software. When you go to sites that are not authentic to go and download all of these things, it can expose your phone or your system to internet damage because you are taking pirated music and movies. And when you are looking at, maybe you put a pirated software on your system, by the time you go to the internet, the system manufacturers, when you start using it and you go online, they will detect that you are using a pirated CD or you are using a pirated software, and that could cause a problem. Now, prohibiting providing the user business email address to limit the likelihood of spam and phishing. Spam is when they send you unsolicited emails. So it is because the people know your email address, they can spam you. Some people will just send several messages. For example, if you use your Gmail now to send a message to 200 people at the same time, the system sees it as a spam. So you should have a policy of not spamming people or protecting yourself from being spammed. Now, consequences of violation. So if you violate this policy, there is going to be a consequence for violation. That's for internet usage. Now let's look at email usage policy. Many businesses, of course, they use email. We all use emails. So they have an email policy that is done for security reasons. For example, the policy could contain the prohibition of the use of personal email account for business matters. So for example, I shouldn't be using my own personal email while representing FCA. I should use the business email. So that's one thing, prohibit the use of personal email accounts. Then checking email regularly. It should be a policy that you check email regularly. Your boss could send you a mail that you should act accordingly and urgently. And if you don't check regularly, you will not know. So especially if your office is some office that uses relies so much on email use, you should be refreshing your email perhaps every 1 hour, every 30 minutes, as the case may be, depending on the frequency of the use. Then the use of professional standards and courtesy in messaging. So don't, even though you are angry, the person is harsh towards you, try to maintain professionalism. Try to be cautious in replying the person. Don't go fire for fire. That is not a good email usage. Prohibit email use for unlawful purposes. So don't use your email for fraudulent purposes like say Yahoo, or use it to do copyright or slander. Then prohibit email use outside your firm's policy. So if your email policy is that don't use personal email for business matters, don't go against it. If it is a policy that don't open your personal business in office hours, don't go against it. Prohibition of sending large attachments. Okay, so large attachments could be anything above maybe 10 MB might be seen as large. Some people will put a limit at 5 MB, may be seen as large. But maybe 10 MB may be seen as large. So you now start sending large attachments on one email. It's going to impact on the data usage. That's number one. And sometimes when you send large emails like that, sometimes firewalls might want to block them. Prohibiting opening email attached from unknown sources. We said last time that one of the ways we protect ourselves from virus is not to open any attachment from sources you don't know, because they may contain malicious software, they may contain virus. What you do is just delete it without opening. Prohibiting accessing email accounts of other individuals. Just because you know their password and their username, you just decide to just open their email. Even if it is official business email, you don't go open their account. It's not good, because you may open, somebody with bad intention may open on a system and do something bad, and it will now ring negatively on the person with the email address and password. The person may not be able to defend himself. It will be as if you came there at that time to perpetrate that act. So that is because you know the person's email, or the person know your email and address, and it does that. So that's why the next one is sharing of email account password. Don't share your email account password. Don't tell a person, say, please help me memorize my password. I used to forget my password. No, we've told you how you should remember your password. You should change your password frequently. I told you that password, the best password is a minimum of 8 characters that has uppercase, lowercase, numbers and special characters. So you can play with them. You can play with a number of things. You can bring anything, and it could even be from your notes. It could be from your notes that, or it could be anything, and you just use it to form a password. So don't share your password. I told you one of my experience that if I want someone to do something for me on my email, the best I can do if I want to send my password to that person and I'll be there to monitor the person is for me to change my password first to an easy one that he can use, perhaps using the person's name. So the person will know that, I just changed it for this purpose. And after that, I'll change it back to my original password. If I like that password, I don't want to change it, than to give person that password and then have to think of something else to change. Okay, prohibiting excessive personal use of your firm's email. So don't use your firm's email for personal use. How do we use firm's email for personal use? Sometimes, some people will just get email from their firm and they'll just forward it to their personal mail. So you get an official job and you forward it to your personal mail. That's using of uh, uh, personal use of firm's email. We are not saying now that it is bad. They said excessive use. So don't do too much of that. Now, there should be a notification that the firm will monitor email. So that means all the mails you receive, all the mails you send will be monitored. So it's like a track. Some people, instead of using phone to talk now, they will just use their mails and they will be giving out some information to some other people. So there should be a monitor to track whom you are sending and who is sending to you. Even if you delete the email, you should be able to still see a back trail. Reporting of misuse. Of course, there are many ways you can misuse. Any of those things we mentioned above could be a misuse if you don't follow as the policy says. Disciplinary action for any breach of policy. Yes, there should be any discipline meted out to anyone who breached the policy. So we've seen internet usage policy and email usage policy. Let's look at what we call the use of USB sticks and other removable devices. Now we'll be talking about flash, USB port, hard drive, hard drive mostly. So the popular ones are just what we just said: flash, memory card, hard drive. We have up to 32 gig, 16 gig, 64 gig. For the hard drives, we have up to 500 MB, gigabytes, and 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes. So although memory sticks are highly reliable and work well even in extreme conditions, care must be taken to protect them. Some of the measures we can take include use an encryption secured memory stick or encrypt confidential data saved to the memory stick. Now they said use a password protected memory stick. So if your memory stick is password protected, better. Always remove a memory stick with devices safe eject facility to ensure information is not corrupted. So if you are working on something, if you didn't close your files well and you just remove the device, the file it didn't close might be corrupted. So it's good to eject safely. Maintaining physical security. Student has left. So we were talking about using of the memory stick. We are saying that don't just exit without proper closing of your files. Otherwise, you risk corrupting your files and you'll be wondering, I used this thing yesterday. How come? It's because of the way you close your files. So one of the ways you can minimize the corruption of your files is when you close the USB device well. Also, there should be a maintaining of physical security. Okay, so what do? Don't just keep them lying on the floor or just keep them lying around. Protect them physically. Keep them in a lock safe when they are not in use, or keep them in a bag. Don't just keep them on the table where anybody will just come and maybe put things on top. Don't expose your memory stick to extreme heat. Don't put them in extreme heat, and keep them dry. Keep them dry. Then we talk about look at examples of other equally useful removable devices that are vulnerable to theft. Heat, moisture, and other compromise include portable hard disk drive. Yes, that's one. Camera and video recorders. That's another way. Personal music player. It has storage facility. GPS-enabled gadgets. That's your phone. Handheld barcode readers. All these has inbuilt storage that you can store things. So these are other things. And while you are protecting them from other things, protect them from theft. These gadgets have their place in the business environment, and care should be taken that we safeguard them and the information they provide. Now we talk about web trust. What is web trust? Web trust is a seal of assurance to a website to assure users that they have integrity or trust on that website. Now, when we talk about web trust, is a seal of best practice, and a new service jointly developed by the Canadian Institute of Chartered Accountants and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Now, this web trust enables consumers and businesses to purchase goods and services over the internet with the confidence that the vendors who are providing these websites will have a high regard for their privacy, for their security, best business practices, and transaction integrity. So they are not likely to run into some confidentiality issue and privacy issues. Three basic principles are used to evaluate a site. One, business and information privacy practice. Information privacy. Don't go selling your information to somebody else, to the highest bidder. No. Transaction integrity. Anything I buy, let it be between you and me. You don't reveal. Information protection. These are the three things used to evaluate a site if it has web trust. Web trust provides assurance of an unqualified report with respect to the above three objectives. When we say unqualified report, it means it is above reproach, no problem. Social networking sites in the workplace. Now, social networking is the use of dedicated websites and applications to interact with other users and to find people with similar interests to one's own. What will readily come to your mind is what? Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, what again? Snapchat, the name MySpace, The name goes on and on and on and on. Before we had Bado, we had To Go, we have Nimbus, we have Yahoo, Messenger, all of them. What again? Weber. All these are social networking sites. If used effectively, okay, I forgot to say, Zoom is also one of it. Used effectively, social networking sites enable organizations to vastly improve communication, like we are doing now. We are improving our communication through the use of Zoom and productively disseminate information among different stakeholders in an efficient manner. Now, some of the benefits of the use of social networking sites are as follows. Modern and quick way for employees to discuss ideas, post news, ask questions, and share links. You don't have to call a meeting always. Your meeting can even be in the evening after work. You can just call a meeting on WhatsApp group. There are some teams, some departments that maybe marketing team may just be on a WhatsApp group. They talk about ideas and how to promote a market, how to do one thing or the other. Online can target a wide audience, which improve recruitment potential. People these days handle interviews now because of COVID-19. Now people are now seeing some of the benefits of social media. So you can now handle interviews on on Zoom, on other social media sites. So you can target a wide area. So people don't have to travel all the way from from anywhere you are to Lagos to go come and interview, come and get interview for a job you want to do in Lagos. And maybe if the interview didn't work, you would have spent transport. Social networks allow companies or organizations to target select groups or individuals, fostering more friendship rather than corporate relationship. So you are having more personal friendship rather than just on the surface organization. This personal touch is highly appreciated and also gives business access to that customer's own network of contacts too. For example, now we are interfacing with you students on a personal note because I have your number saved on my phone and I can chat with you on a personal level. Vastly expanded market research resource can be accessed by employees for market research and other organizations and products, and also used to enhance one's own marketing campaigns by delivering communications and directing interested people to specific websites. When you, these days now, on people who advertise on Facebook, all they need to do is put in their web address. You see, once you click, it take you to a web address. Some will take you to Instagram page. You see all these on social media like WhatsApp status. You just click, takes you to Instagram. All of that are helping people to get market research. People are making opinions, putting polls, and they improve communication. So promotes open communication leading to enhanced information discovery and delivery, offers an opportunity to widen business contacts, helps improve business reputation and client base with minimal spend on advertising. How much will you spend on Facebook for adverts? How much? Compared to going to the radio, compared to going to the TV. Many people today use Facebook, use social media. And some people who don't advertise on TV, you see them on social media because they know that is where people are. Also with the the way that NEPA is not giving constant light. So it may be that your advert may not be seen, but in social media, it will be seen. Social media networking is here to stay, and the future of business is a networked future. So social media is a powerful tool. So if you're using social media just for fun, just know now that you can use it for business purpose. Now, what about the risk involved in social media? It provides an extra channel for hackers to attack and launch spam or viruses. Can you not see that some people will post certain unconfirmed news and people will start sharing it on WhatsApp, and people will click and it will take you to a site. Before you know it, they will tell you, congratulations, you've won certain things. Please click to claim your prize. All these things, they are exposing you to spam or virus. Before you know, your phone later will start hanging. Before you know, your phone will start getting hot unnecessary. Before you know, your phone will start behaving abnormal. These are viruses attacking your phone because hackers have tried to launch the attack on you. Can result in negative comments from disgruntled employee about the company. Yes, people can say negative things and it will be seen by the organization. For example, if you are in a group and you don't like what the organization is doing, you can post negative comments. These days, people can go to Play Store and you want to download an app that someone says you should go and download. Before you know, you start seeing negative reviews. And you start asking yourself, should I use this app? Should I? So, potential legal consequences if employees use sites to view objectionable, illicit, or offensive material. These days too, when you go to illicit sites, sometimes you can attract the attention of the law enforcement agents and they could track you and get you arrested. Increased risk of employees succumbing to online scams, resulting in identity or data theft. So because some people want you to double your money in 2 hours, they want you to double your money, you fall victim to scams. They hack into your phone, take your WhatsApp, they start controlling your WhatsApp, identity theft. Lost productivity if employees are using the sites for personal use rather than work-related activity. So you see, because social media is here to stay, some people have it in their phone, they use most of the time on personal social networking rather than business concern. Employees may send negative message status updates. So when you are some bosses do not have their employees' number on their phone, so they may not see the negative messages they may be sending. So, but if you have their number, you can see that sometimes they may just send negative messages about themselves, about the company, on their status. Social media policy. So we looked at internet, looked at email. Now let's go to social media. So while employees have the right to ban non-work related computer activity, such as a total ban on all social networking sites, may not yield the direct results. So if you are banning all social networking sites, it may not yield the desired effect. So there may be a need for you to leave social media to be on, but you should control it. Employees will seek ways around it. For example, they want to use their smartphone instead of their work computer, to access a site. So when you ban the use of the office system from accessing the site, they may want to use their phone to access it. All right. Many employers therefore issue a social media policy that will typically address the following: to define the term social networking, to establish a scope for the policy, establish the purpose of the policy, to communicate the benefits of the social networking and establishing a policy, consider legal redress of not abiding by the law, providing guidance to employees regarding their use of social networking outside of company time and property, where it could be associated with the company, customers, or employees. Many employers will prohibit the posting of company information on social networking sites without specific authorization. So you don't go advertising your company without taking permission. Okay, so these are some of the policies on social networking. So we've seen a number of things here. We've seen internet usage, we've seen email usage, we see social networking usage. Sorry, give me a moment. Okay, so that's all for last week parts. All right, so we've finished last week class. So let's see how we can get to this week class. This week, we have entered session 11A. I call it 11A. We hope we can finish everything, because this week is the last week of our regular class. So we hope we can finish 11A and perhaps 11B. Okay, so if our class goes smoothly, we'll be taking these first three. Most of these other things here are involved in some of the things we've learned before. So we might not be doing too badly if we finish these first three and take a few of the other ones. Now we have network architecture and protocols. What is a network? A computer network is a telecommunication infrastructure that allows computers to exchange data or talk with each other. Now, let's say, for example, your phone, which I'll call your computer, and my phone are communicating with each other. There is a network. So can you think of a way that your phone can communicate with my phone? One way is through the use of Bluetooth. So you want to send something to me so that I can see it. We communicate through Bluetooth. We communicate through infrared. We communicate through Xender. We communicate then through internet. So it could be, if it is computer, it could be wired or it could be wireless. We're going to talk about all of that. So the physical connection that exists between networked computer can use either physical media such as fiber optic copper wire. So you see those wires that they connect and they put it in the computer. They call it LAN. We'll talk about it. It's called fiber optic copper wire. Or we have the wireless media. So instead of the use of the wires, it's wireless. The best known computer network is the internet. So I've told you some of them. We have Bluetooth, we have near field, we have infrared, but the best is internet. We also have intranet, but the best known is internet. Now, the computer network supports a vast range of uses, which includes the World Wide Web. So what we call the internet is the World Wide Web. That is why if you are using the internet, you must put the word www. And if you don't put www and you put an address, it comes automatically because you are using the internet, World Wide Web. That means that if you want something in my own computer that I have put out there in the public space, you go to the internet and you get it from the public space. That's a way to interact with me. Then sharing software applications such as database and worksheets. Yes, there's a share option. Then there is email. Internet, you can send email. Then you can share devices such as printers, fax, and scanners. Then there's online booking system, instant messaging like you're chatting, and internet-based communication such as Skype. Now we have Zoom, Google Meet, and all that. Now the next thing is system architecture. The term architecture refers to the way in which components of a computer system, such as printers and PCs and storage devices, are linked together and how they interact. So the way they are linked together and how they interact could either be a centralized structure or decentralized. A centralized architecture involving all processes being performed on a single central computer. So if you want to print, you have to send something and it will go on queue. When they go to the central computer, they're going to release it, you're going to print. If you want to do anything, that central computer has to be on. It's centralized. Now, decentralized, here, you spread the power throughout organizations at different locations. So anybody can do anything from his own location. Now we have typical network configuration, which includes star network that looks like a star, ring network, bus network, tree network, and mesh network. So all these network types should be remembered in case it is being asked in the exam. We have the client-server computing. A client-server computing describes one level of interaction found between computers in system architecture. Now, a server is a machine that is dedicated to providing a particular function or services requested by a client within a network. So if you are a server, let's say, for example, you are doing Uber. So if you are doing Uber, you are not coming as a client. You are coming through like a server. So you are providing a function that will be requested by the client. Now, as we are using Zoom, I am using the server login. Now you are using the client login. That's why you didn't log in, you just click on the link. I have to log in. So servers can range in power from top end. Sorry, a moment. Let me see whether you are still around. Yeah. So server can range in power from top end super servers capable of driving thousands of network users to low end servers, which are powerful personal computers. So we've said about different kinds of servers. We have file servers, that are used to manage data files that are accessible to users of network. We have network servers that is used to route messages from terminals and other equipment to other parts of the network. So sometimes the word where you call server, that this computer is a server, what we mean is it's a network server. Okay, now we talk of LAN, local area network. A local area network is a computer network covering a small geographical area, such as a home, building, of school building, or office. So when they say a local area network, it's just a small, like FCA could be a small area, local area network. Now, a LAN has some distinguishing features. Due to its localized nature, the data transfer speeds are high. So because it is local and not global, the data transfer speed are high. Typically owned, controlled, and managed by one person or a single organization. The low cost of maintenance is there. You know, another thing you can use for LAN is what do they call it? Intercom is also a LAN because okay, that is one of the points here. One LAN can be connected to another LAN over any distance via telephone lines and radio waves. So intercom is one of these. So when you communicate with intercom is one example of LAN. So most times they are using this fiber optic copper wire to connect LAN. So if you're in a computer, if you're in an office and you are using LAN, they will say LAN cable. They call those fiber optic cable, they call it LAN cable. They'll use a LAN cable to connect to each other, and you'll be having intercom connect to your server, and your work is fast. You can share files and all that. Then we have the wide area network, which is WAN. A wide area network is a computer network that covers a broad area, a network that communicates across regional, metropolitan, or national boundaries over a long distance. Now, some of the features are data transfer speed are much lower than LAN due to greater distance the information must travel. Let's say, for example, ICANN websites. It's a wide area network. ICANN network may not be a LAN because they have different areas, the regional zones that they communicate. So since it is not a small area, it travels wide, the data transfer speed might be low. One exists under collective or distributed ownership and management, covering long distance. Setups are typically higher due to the need to connect to remote areas. You know, now banks too use WAN, not so a branch in a bank may use a LAN for just the local branch. So, but when they go outside their local branch, they use WAN. So you see, when you are doing intercom within your fellow branch group, is LAN you are using. But you know, these days now, the company, the bank will now have a WAN. So if you want to call the outside line, but still the branch, still one branch of the bank, they may have a closed user group that they will use to communicate from one branch to another, which is still low in cost, but you know, it travels wide. In contrast to LAN, the data transmission error tends to be significantly higher. So we've seen LAN, we've seen WAN. Now let's go to SAN. This is not Senior Advocate of Nigeria for Storage Area Network. SAN is part of a LAN, but it's an arrangement where computers and servers in a LAN or WAN share a centralized high-speed storage environment. They share the same environment of storage. In a SAN architecture, the storage area has a separate network which grants access to other computers and servers to store their data. So the main purpose of SAN is to eliminate the cost of supplicating storage data device on each computers. So you can have a central storage system. So the size will be so large. So you don't need to now start storing on your own personal computer. So you have to store on that centralized high-speed environment. So it makes for easy retrieval too. So even if your system packs up, you can use another system to access the network, access the storage device, and use it. Now let's look at the protocols. We have protocols, standards, and enabling technologies. Let's look at what is a protocol. In computing, a protocol is a convention or standard that controls or enables the connection, communication, and data transfer between endpoints. Endpoint is from one computer to another computer. So what is the convention? What is the standard that will help you to communicate data transfer between one end to the other? So in this simplest form, a protocol can be defined as the rules that govern communication over a network. So it could be a LAN network, it could be a WAN network, but what are the rules that will govern that you send one information from one endpoint and it gets to the other endpoint? Now, some of the typical properties of protocols are as follows. The detection of the underlying physical connection, wired or wireless, or the existence of other networks or other endpoints. How to start and end a message. These are some of the typical properties. How to format a message, what to do with corrupted or improperly formatted message, how to detect unexpected loss of connection and what to do next, and the termination of the session or connection. Now let's look at some common protocols. We have here IP, which is called the Internet Protocol. I mentioned Internet Protocol. Sometimes you see IP address. We'll talk about it. Then we have the User Datagram Protocol. We have the Transmission Protocol. We have the Text Transfer Protocol. That's what I wanted to say last week when I was saying HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Then we have the File Transfer Protocol, the SOAP, we have the IMAP, we have the SMTP, and we have the POP3. Now let's look at the Internet Protocol. We have this protocol is used for communicating data across what we call packet switch internet work, which is using Internet Protocol Suite. All these are technical details. They are referred to as TCP/IP. So Internet Protocol is a primary protocol in the Internet layer. Okay, so the purpose of the IP is to define the addressing method and structure for datagram encapsulation. So when you say IP address, each of your email address that you type, for example, you say www. gmail.com. It has an IP address. So it is converted to something like 192.138. something something, some numbers. These are IP addresses, so they are all unique. IP works by exchanging pieces of information called packets. And a packet is a sequence of bytes and consists of a header followed by a body. The header describes the packet's destination and optionally the routers to use for forwarding, generally in the right direction until they arrive at the final destination, while the body contains the data which IP is transmitting. So the IP is Internet Protocol, how you transfer data from the internet. The User Datagram Protocol, UDP, is not a political party. This is one of the core members of the Internet Protocol Suite. So it's a group of protocols. So this is one of them, that the set of network protocol used for the internet. So now with UDP, computer application can send messages, and these are referred to as datagram, to other computers on the internet protocol without prior communication set up to special transmission channels or data paths. So for now, all these jargons may not be understood, but I want you to know the name. So when they say type of protocol, you know IP, you know UDP, we have TCP. It's not the complete protection. No. This is transmission control protocol. This one is used, it's one of these protocol suites, whereas IP handles lower level transmission from computer to computer. TCP operates at a higher level, which is only concerned with two end systems. For example, a web browser and a web server. So a web server is a server, a web browser is a client. In particular, TCP provides reliable, ordered delivery of a stream of bytes from one program on one computer to another program on another computer. So you see the TCP. Now we come to the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP. HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, is an application level protocol for distributed, collaborative, hypermedia information system. It is used for retrieving interlinked resources led to the establishment of the World Wide Web. HTTP is a request response standard of a client and a server. A client is the end user, like I said, while the server is the website. So when you use the HTTP, you are requesting a response from the website. The client making a HTTP request using a web browser or the other user tool is referred to as the user agent. The responding server, which stores and creates resources such as HTML. HTML is hypertext markup language. You get to find out files and images, is called the origin server. In between the user agent and the origin server may be several intermediaries such as proxy and gateways. So you have some gateways where you are sending your request. These gateways will be open for the response to come to you. HTTP is not constrained to using either TCP, which is a higher level, or the IP, which is the lower level, although it is most popular application on the use of the internet. We now come to FTP, File Transfer Protocol. This has to do with file transfer, used to exchange and manipulate files over a TCP network. So you see it's a TCP network file, such as the internet. An FTP client may connect to an FTP server to have access to and manipulate files on that server as if the files are directly on the local system medium. So you see, when you are connecting to a high speed local storage, you may be using FTP to transmit files. Then we go to SOAP. SOAP is Simple Object Access Protocol. It's a protocol specification for exchanging structured information in the implementation of web services in other networks. As a layman's example of how SOAP procedures can be used, a SOAP message would be sent to a web service enabled website, for example, a house price database, with the parameters needed for a search. The search will then return an XML, executable markup language, formatted document with the resulting data. So you search and it will bring price, location, features. For example, you want to search for the specification of a particular phone brand, and it brings all of this for you. Now we have Instant Message Access Protocol, IMAP. Okay, this one is popular for the use of email retrievals, and you have POP3 as the other. So virtually all modern email clients or servers use the IMAP or the POP3. So if you are one of those who has, the guy has gone off again. Okay, we are talking about IMAP as one of the protocols used for email, and we said the other is POP3. So most email servers and clients support IMAP. So if you are trying to set up maybe Outlook, one of the things you are going to be doing, for example, you have your office email and you want to set up Outlook, one of the email protocol you have to apply is the either IMAP or POP. You'll be seeing the configuration details and it'll be telling you which one to choose, which is email, sending of email, use IMAP or POP3. IMAP supports both connected online and disconnected, that is offline modes of operation. Email clients using IMAP generally leave messages on the server until the user deletes them on purpose. Email messages are usually sent to an email server that stores received messages in the recipient's email box. The user retrieves the messages with either a web or an email client that uses one of a number of email retrieval protocol. We'll be talking about the email retrieval protocol. We have one of them as SMTP. We have, I think one of them is SMTP. I know of that. Some clients and servers preferentially use vendor-specific proprietary protocols, but most support the Internet Standard Protocols, STMP for sending emails, and POP3 and IMAP for retrieving email, allowing interactions with other servers and clients. Okay, we also say that SMTP can be used for retrieving email, but it is more suitable for permanent internet connection. That is what we say. Now, for example, Microsoft Outlook clients, which is one I was saying, uses a proprietary protocol to communicate with an Exchange server, as does IBM's Notes client when communicating with a Domino server. But all these products also support POP3, IMAP4, and outgoing SMTP. So mostly outgoing is SMTP. Retrieval is POP, IMAP, but we can still use SMTP to retrieve. Now let's look at the SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Okay, we've been talking about the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. It's an internet standard for electronic mail transmission across the internet protocol. So when you are using the internet to send a simple mail, you are using the SMTP protocol in the IP. While electronic mail servers such as MTMP is used to send and receive mail, user-level client mail application typically only use this SMTP for sending messages to a mail server for relaying. For receiving messages, you may have to use the post office protocol, the POP, or the instant message access protocol, the IMAP. We talked about the IMAP. We'll soon be talking about the post office. So the post office protocol is used to serve like a post office, mainly to retrieve mail from remote servers over the IP or the TCP. So these are some of the protocols that you can see there. We have the 7-layer OSI model. So, let me just tell you, don't be overwhelmed with all these names. Your MI, 20% of your MI will be on IT. So that's why it is like this. You may not know where they will bring. So you just have to at least know some of these, because you may be able to write small notes on them. So look at the 7 layers here. Okay, we talk about the open system interconnection reference model. So the open system interconnection, that is what the OSI reference model is, an abstract description for layered communication and computer network protocol design. So look at the layers here. We have the host layers. The data unit here is data segment. The media layers is a packet, frame, and bytes. So look at the layers. Starting from the bottom to the top, we have physical. The function of it is media, signal, and binary transmission. We have the data link, physical addressing, network for path determination and logical addressing, transport, end-to-end connections and reliability. Then we have the session, the presentation, and the application. Now let's look at what we call a wireless application protocol, which is called WAP. This is not WAP TV, not Wale Adenuga production. Okay? WAP is commonly, wireless application protocol is called WAP. It's an open international standard for application layer network communication in a wireless communication environment. So in a wireless communication environment, you can use WAP. Now, the main use is to enable access to the internet from a mobile phone. So your phone cannot use LAN. Your phone must use WAP. If you want to connect to the internet, you use wireless. For example, now my phone is giving a wireless connection to my system. So we are using what we call a wireless application protocol. So without the WAP, you cannot have a wireless network. A WAP browser provides all of the basic services of a computer-based web browser, but simplified to operate within the restriction of a mobile phone, such as a smaller widescreen view. So you see some of the things when you are looking at an application on a computer which has a bigger screen and want to view it on a phone. Sometimes there may be some changes because of how the WAP is designed. WAP sites are websites written in or dynamically converted to wireless markup language, WML, and accessed via the WAP browser. Before the introduction of WAP, service providers had extremely limited opportunities to offer interactive data services. Interaction data applications are required to support new marketplaces such as email by mobile phone, tracking of stock market prices, spot news, headlines, music downloads. You've been hearing of packet switching. This is packet switching. I won't talk much about this packet switching. Let me go to another one that is so important, the Uniform Resource Locator, which is called the URL. Now, sometimes you would have heard of URL. When you want to go to download a video, you say copy the URL from YouTube and put it somewhere, or you bring your video. You want to what do they call it? Link your website to a particular site. You can put the uniform resource locator of your email or your website in that place, so that when they click that thing, it takes them to your website. So uniform resource locator, to enable to see a particular web page, you have to be able to find it among many millions of others around the internet. And this is done using what we call the ULR. So this is a standard way of describing the location of a particular resource. So there's a standard way. Now, how does a URL work? Look at it here now. We have HTTP www.icanig.org/ng/login.html. HTML is hypertext transfer markup language. Now, the first time you see this URL, it looks very confusing, but in fact, it is built up very logically. It contains abbreviation HTTP. Now, I want to let you know that once you have S after HTTP, that means that site is secure. Without S, it is a general public site. Now, HTTP followed by the name of the computer containing the web page. So when you see HTTP, what follows is www, showing you that it is a World Wide Web. The name of the protocol used to send the information between the server and your computer is the internet protocol. So a protocol is a set of rules specifying how communication between computers should take place. Ordinarily, web pages are sent using HTTP. So most URL starts with HTTP. So they normally start with it. The name of the protocol is always followed by a colon. The name of the protocol is always followed by a colon and 2 slash. So the HTTP is the protocol that is being used, followed by the colon and 2 slash. As nearly all addresses start with that, it is normally left out when giving out the address. So you just give people www.icanig.org. But when you are typing it, those protocols come up. Now, when you give people that, most computers have the permanent access to internet. So, like web servers having an address consisting of a number of words separated by a full stop called dot. In this case, the address of the computer is like what we just seen, www.icanig.org. Now look at /ng. This is a position in the web page folder on the server. So that is a page on the folder. So this is just like saying it's a room. So now, if you just go to ican.org.org, it's like entering into the office and meeting the reception. When you now put /something, it's specifying the room you are supposed to go. So instead of going to the reception to go and ask for the room number you are walking straight to the room. This is the position of the web page folder directory on the server. Names of folders are separated by slashes. Okay, if you can see my file, although this is not HTTP here, so it is showing that it's a file, it's followed by some colon. This is drive C. That means this file is in drive C. Another file here again, user in drive C. There's another file called first choice in users. There's another file called desktop in first choice. Then there is online lecture material. This is the name of the file. So this is also a URL, Uniform Resource Locator. So you are trying to locate this file. Where is this file in? It's in file, C drive, user, first choice on the desktop. There you will see it. It's logical. Okay? Now, they say there's a difference between large and small letters. Okay, now look at login.html. This is the file name of the web page. So that last page is the file name. That last thing there is the file name on that page. Just like this thing that has .pdf is this PDF file. That is the thing I'm looking for. So you are looking at login. You want to log in on ICANN page. That is the file you are looking for. The HTML extension shows that this is an ordinary web page. Yes, so HTML is hypertext markup language. Is a web page. If you see any other extension that is not HTML, then it's not a web page. If it could be PDF, it could be anything, that's the extension name. Okay, it says here that the extension shows that this is just an ordinary web page. Most web pages either have a .html or .htm extension. This stands for hypertext markup language and shows that the file is in that format. There is a difference between large and small letters. So login.html is not the same as login with a capital L and a capital HTML. So you should take note. So you should be looking at case sensitive. Now we have computer addresses. The computers with different connection to the internet have an address consisting of 2 or more words or abbreviation which are separated by dots. So computer addresses are separated by dots. In the URL shown above, the computer address is www.ican.org. ican.org. The last part of an address is often a country code, which shows which computer, which country the computer is. So when they say ICANN NG, it means ICANN in Nigeria. So it could be ICANN UK, it could be ICANN JP. So that's why they say the last. So this www is not the address. This ICANN is the address, while ORG is the extension to show the kind. Okay, we'll talk about it now. So instead of showing the country code, the US uses a number of 3-letter extension, which showing which type of organization each computer belongs to. So we have the commercial, which is .com, we have edu, we have gov, we have organization, non-profit organization. So ICANN is a non-profit organization. So if you are using .org, it's a not-profit organization. If you are using .com, you know it's business. If you are using .net, it's engaged, organizations engaged in the maintenance of internet. If you are using .mil, is for military, American military. .gov. So sometimes you will see .gov.ng. It means government, Nigeria. So nowadays, these addresses can be virtually anywhere in the world. Even the majority of them are American. Okay? This one talks about hyper trans HTTPL and HTML. HTML is the predominant markup language for web pages. So that's when you are saving a web page, you'll be seeing it .html. So it's a web page. It provides means to describe the structure of text-based information in a document by denoting certain text as links, headings, paragraphs, lists, and so on. HTML is written in the form of tags that are surrounded by angle brackets. Angle bracket is like those things that are like greater than and less than. Also describe to some degree the appearance and semantics of a document, which can include embedded scripting language codes such as JavaScript that can affect the behavior of web browsers and other HTML processor. Now look at the extensible markup language, the XML. Okay, XML is a general purpose specification for creating custom markup languages. It is classified as extensible language because it allows the user to define the markup elements. So it's a kind of language which allows user to define the markup elements. Then we have extensible business reporting language. So as I said before, all these are what you should know by name and just talk a few lines about them, maybe 1 or 2 lines about them, that's all. So you can able to explain what a computer network is and system architecture, can define what is called LAN, what is WAN, what is SAN. We can talk about the OCI reference, the 7 layers, talk about wireless application protocol, talk about the packets, talk about the uniform resource locator, HTTP and HTML. These are popular things. You should just know their names now, know a little about them. Know just a little about them. That is what I advise. So by next time when we come to the class, you'll be going to what you call web hosting and functions of email, basic etiquette, email, and some other things like cloud computing and other stuff. So I hope you will go through them. You may have questions, feel free to ask. So at this point now, we want to take a bow and go prepare for the next class. Thank you so much.